This week we read Parshat Matot and Maseh, and in Matot we're told about a battle that the Israelites fought against Midian and that they were successful and they got a lot of possessions. And after that story, we're told that the tribe of Reuven and the tribe of Gad had a lot of possessions, a lot of cattle, and they um, saw that this land, before they crossed over, was really good for livestock. And so they went to Moshe to ask him to give them the land. They're like, we have a lot of livestock. God won this war. We were successful against these people. This land is open. Like, give us this land as an inheritance. Don't make us cross over. Moshe was not happy with that request for many reasons. He said, first of all, you're going to dishearten the people that are all going to go into the land and have many, many battles, and they're going to have to fight him on their own. You're going to abandon your brothers, and he compared them to the Meraglim, that they were going to dishearten the people, and that was a bad story, as we know. And then Reuven and Gad approached Moshe closer. They came close to Moshe, and they said, "Listen, don't worry. We will make pens for our livestock, set up cities for our kids, and we'll go in and we'll fight with our brethren. And we won't return to our homes until the children of Israel have inherited every man his inheritance." So then Moshe made a condition and he said, okay, if you do that, and he kind of reprioritized the people because first they mentioned their livestock, and he made this condition that, you should um, set up the places for your wives, for your children, and put the livestock last, and, fight with your brethren. If you do all this, then okay, you can have this land as an inheritance. Um, but it's very interesting because we know that on the other side of the Yarden, the land that they requested, we're always told is Reuven, Gad, and Chatzi Shevet Menashe, which is half of the tribe of Menashe. But it doesn't say that Menashe came and made this request. And all of a sudden, when he makes the conditions, it says, and he said to Reuven, Gad, and Chatzi, half of this tribe of Menashe, these conditions in order to do this. So where did the Menashe come from? They weren't part of the request. And I think what's important to realize is, and I mentioned this last week, when Benot we're told we trace their heritage all the way back to Menashe. And my analysis of that was to show how Benot Slavchad really understood family and the value of family and the importance of family and how to treat family. And that is part and parcel of a condition that's really important in living in Israel, that you have to understand. The land of Israel is supposed to be given to Israel as one big family who takes care of one another. And they understood that. They wanted to perpetuate their father's name. All five sisters stood together as one. They asked for land, but not just any land. They said, give us land amongst our father's brother. They wanted to be with their tribe. Family was so important. And that's why I think it traced their heritage in those Pesukim, in those passages, all the way back to Menashe. And I think the same rule is applying here, because the Reuven and Gad, their request showed a lack of consideration on so many parts. First of all, that their brethren, all the other tribes, were going to go in Israel and have to fight many wars, and Moshe was upset. You're going to abandon your brothers when they all have to go to war, and you're going to sit here, with your cattle and just have a vacation, enjoy your life, while the rest of the nation is going through something. And so, that was one show of lack of consideration. Another show of lack of consideration, even when they agreed to do it, they had to leave their families. They had to leave. They said, okay, we'll build cities First, they showed their priorities by mentioning their cattle and their possessions first. And then they said, and we'll build cities for our children. And they didn't even mention their wives. And then when they agreed to go, they were going to have to be abandoned for a very long term because it took a long, long time for Israel to do all the battles they had to do to get the land. It was a long-term commitment that the tribes leaving were going to leave for a very long, extended period of time. And they didn't consult their wives and the children. They just said, okay, we're going to do this. And then by being with the tribes, they're abandoning their immediate family. I think all of this shows a lack of understanding of priorities, of taking care of your family and taking care of your family within the larger community and how to go about that in the best way, because this was not something they had to do. Sometimes people have to leave their families in order to make ends meet or for some extraneous reason, but they had everything. They had, thank God, their families had tons of possessions. They had no reason other for just the first thing their eyes saw that was good, this land for cattle. They said, let's take it. They didn't even see what was going on in the land of Israel. And God told them they should go to Israel, that it's a good land. So obviously it was appropriate for them. So this just was a horrible display of lack of consideration for family. And as we know, as I discussed last week, Menashe was the epitome of the display of love for a brother, of connection with the brother, of brother and brother helping each other out, of family being important and understanding that and knowing that family comes first and how to go about your life in a way that's good for everybody, your closer family and your bigger family, your extended family and your nation. And because they needed that lesson, I think that Moshe saw fit to tell them half of the tribe of Menashe, not the whole tribe, half to go with them, because they would learn from the tribe of Menashe the meaning and value of family. Menashe was sure to be going back and forth. They were sure to show their connection and devotion and appreciation for their family that they couldn't be with at the time. They were sure to learn from Menashe, who was living amongst them, how they treated their own immediate family. So it provided both a display for the nation on how to treat the immediate family by being able to see that with Menashe and their own families that lived amongst them, and then how to be committed to a nation that you don't live with, that you don't forget them, because they were sure to go back and devote care and time and whatever might be needed from their extended family across Jordan. Anyways, I think that's really important message for us to take with us. Family is very important. To know how to take care of your inner circles and your outer circles and to do your best to make it all mesh together, because it all affects one another. Your devotion to the nation or your devotion to your family, it's all connected and it's all important. And it all goes into making us better people, our families better families, and our nation a better nation. Shabbat Shalom.